Hello, my name is Joe, and welcome to my channel. As all of you most likely know, based on the title of this video, the latest RWBY novel, Roman Holiday, just released, and I was actually able to finish the book on the day of its release. So I thought, hey, let's review it. So that's what I'm gonna do. But before I get into it, this will be the spoiler review. If you haven't read the book yet, or want to get my general thoughts on it before watching this, head over to my non-spoiler review. I'll leave a card right here. Alright, let's get into it. So, because I feel this is a very character-focused book, I decided to break up this review into 4 parts, focusing on the side characters, Roman, Neo, and finally Roman and Neo as a duo. So, let's start with the side characters. I think that the side characters in this book are used very effectively. The most major ones are pretty much those we've already technically met, and then Neo's parents and Lady Beate. Whatever. It's very nice in particular to see more of the characters that were essentially extras in the show proper. I mean, actually seeing Little Miss Malachite's criminal organization in action was pretty interesting, as well as getting actual confirmation that the twins Yang fought in her trailer were her daughters. Also, finding out Junior got a foothold in the criminal underworld because his dad was a kingpin. Makes sense. The dude was not great. I also think all the new characters on Neo's side of things really helped make Vale feel more real. Actually meeting someone on Vale's council, and a former huntress who quit as a signal instructor because one of her students died makes the world feel so much more lived in than it did in volumes 1 through 3. But some side characters also brought back a lot of the charm of volumes 1 through 3. In particular, the bank teller and Senior's goons really helped bridge the tone between the dark criminal side of the story and the goofier tone of early RWBY. Moving on to Roman, one thing I really appreciated is that they didn't try to sugarcoat his brutality. A lot of the time, when a character gets popular enough for a spin-off or origin story, they'll try and make the character seem more noble and heroic than they actually were. And while they definitely created a bit of sympathy for both Roman and Neo, they didn't shy away from Roman being the kind of guy who would regularly try to kill teenagers and relish in the destruction that he caused. It doesn't try to repaint Roman as a hero. Beyond that, they captured Roman's voice very well in his dialogue, like I said in my non-spoiler review. Now, as for Neo, I won't really comment on how the idea of her mental illness was covered. I'm not a psychologist, so I can't really say if something like that was respectfully covered or not. Let me know if you do have more experience in that. What I will say is that I kinda wish the original Neapolitan was named something else, and that Neo had come up with the name after the two parts of her came together, but that's just a personal narrative preference. One thing I really enjoyed in Neo's side of the story was the repetition of threes. Obviously, Neapolitan ice cream is 3 flavors, but also trivia apparently means where 3 roads meet. You had Lady Beate's description of the 3 parts of what determine someone's actions and the 3 parts of one's consciousness, and how these ideas relate to the 3 swirls of the school's emblem. Then, at the end, you have 3 factions working against each other: Malachite, Jiang, and our villainous pair. All of which are embodied in the microcosm of Neo's 3-person family. Her father being under Jiang's thumb, her mother being an agent of Malachite, and Neo herself just wanting to live her own life and thus siding with Roman. All of this in the 3rd book Myers has written for RWBY. Not super important necessarily, but it's just a very satisfying narrative through line. And finally, we have Neo and Roman as a duo. And this was just great. I feel like it must be very hard to create such a seamless dynamic between a pair of characters which only has one side supplying consistent dialogue, but it's accomplished very well here. The dynamic shown in the book never really got the chance to be showcased in the show proper, and it's really a shame because of how entertaining it is to read here. One thing I did want to touch on is a comparison I've seen thrown around since Neo was reintroduced in Volume 6, and that is the comparison of Neo and Jean with their relationships to Cinder and their partners. It's a pretty surface level comparison, red-headed partner that they kept mementos of being killed by Cinder and thus they want revengeance and so on and so forth. Now, it might just be because I had this comparison in my head when I read the book, but I can kinda see a weird, dark twist on Jean and Pyrrha in Roman and Neo's relationship. What's interesting, though, is that I feel Roman is the Jean in this scenario, not the Pyrrha. Sure, Roman did take on a mentor role for Neo, but I think deeper down, an important part of that relationship has Neo's view of Roman holding more similarities to Pyrrha's view of Jean. Neo wants people to view her like she views herself, to understand her as she is, rather than try and make her into something easier for them to understand. Pyrrha, in a very similar manner in my opinion, just wants people to view her as who she is, to treat her like a person rather than an unattainable standard. Then they're both shocked when their eventual partner does just that. As for Jean and Roman, well, they have certain similarities. Both leave their original home to come to Vale and pursue their dreams, only to realize they're kinda in over their heads. They both also have the I have to do it on my own mentalities, although Jean's comes from an idea that heroes need to handle everything themselves, versus Roman coming from the feeling of not trusting anyone to have his back. Still, it's an interesting comparison, and when Roman had his brief moments of awkwardness, it did almost feel like Jean dialogue, but that might just be me. Also, both pairs' first major antagonists they had to defeat were an arachnid and a bear. So, that's kinda neat. Overall, not really a super strong comparison, and probably not intentional, but it's fun to look at the similarities. One other thing I did want to touch on was the slight romantic subtext between Roman and Neo, what with moments of blushing and Roman getting awkward around her. There was some reported leaks about the book that made Roman seem like kind of a creeper, and while I wouldn't go that far, I did find those moments a little, not even for the age gap necessarily. 10 years is a lot, but it doesn't necessarily need to be creepy as long as all involved are adults and consenting and all that. But the fact Roman compared her age to the Malachite twins, who he had known when they were children and he was an adult, did make those moments and that subtext feel a little bit weird, at least to me. Still, nothing crazy like the rumors were saying, so it's nothing really major to worry about. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. For a first RWBY book, I definitely think that it was a good choice, and I just had a lot of fun reading it. So, if you watched this whole spoiler review for some reason without reading the book first, I recommend getting it. It was a fun ride, even if you already kind of know what's happening, I think. But hey, those are just my thoughts. What do you think? Agree? Disagree? Think this book leaves room for a sequel? Let me know in the comments down below. And, subscribe. I'm trying to do a video every week or two, so you might find something you like. Till next time, safe journeys, my friends.